Hello and welcome to the Crooked Letter Sports Podcast, a show about Mississippi sports and the folks who play them. I'm Tyler Cleveland, joined as always by my co-host and dad, Rick Cleveland of Mississippi Today. Dad, how was your weekend?
Weekend was fine. Got to see some college baseball.
Yeah, I'm jealous of you. I didn't get to see much. I followed a lot. I listened some. I didn't get to watch much.
I saw three really good baseball games down at the Pete.
Awesome.
It was two really good teams, two top 25 teams.
Yeah. I followed Ole Miss and State and a little bit of that Southern Miss over the weekend. Saw about 6 parades down in New Orleans. We're recording this on Fat Tuesday, so happy holidays to those who celebrate. Man, it's I'll tell you what the most interesting thing of the whole deal over the weekend was watching them clean up at night.
Yeah.
The amount of trash, my God.
They're pros, though.
I'm talking about.
They've done this a time or two.
I know. So Saturday we watched 3 parades, and then I go catch a show at the Howlin' Wolf, right, that starts at like 11. I come home, it's like 1 o'clock, and it's like nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
And on the way there, I was like wading through, like knee deep. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Like I say, they've had a lot of practice at that.
They do. That's what makes it such good at hosting big events. But speaking of places that are great at hosting big events, we got to start the show by talking about our trip last week to Pittsboro for
Pittsboro, Mississippi.
For the Trinidad Chambliss hearing.
You don't get there by accident.
No.
You got to mean to be going there.
That's right. I personally enjoyed thoroughly the trip, though, because first of all, the whole thing was so Mississippi. It was one of the more Mississippi events I've been to in a long time, and we'll explain a little bit of what that means here in a second. But I got some soul food out of it.
Yeah.
At Lena and Tina's, which if you're ever in Pittsboro, look them up. And yeah, I mean,
we chose that over the deli and sun tanning.
Yeah, the deli
right next door.
Yeah, which was called Tonelli's, as I remember. It was a tanning bed / deli, and then there was a Mexican place called El Jefe, but I did not test those waters. Maybe next time we're in Pittsboro, we'll check out El Jefe.
But you're right; it's one of the most Mississippi things that I've ever done, and I've lived in Mississippi for 73 years, but that was my first visit to Pittsboro, which is dead between Bruce and Calhoun City.
Yeah. Well, what's great is when you're trying to tell your friend where you are, and it's like, well, I'm about 9 miles north of Calhoun City, which is about 20 miles east of Grenada, which is about an hour and a half. You know what I mean? Most people know where Grenada is, but you see what I'm saying. When you get to like the third place out.
30 miles south of Oxford.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the outcome of the hearing. First, we were there all day long, and you get the ruling from Judge Whitwell there that Trinidad, he granted them the injunction they were looking for that will ostensibly allow Trinidad to play next year.
He's going to be the Ole Miss quarterback, barring injury, on September the 5th.
Right, because even if the NCAA appeals, that process will take forever. The season will be over by the time it makes it to a courtroom. Okay. So
the wheels of justice spin slowly.
Well, they didn't at this thing until the reading at the end. No, it was when Judge Whitwell said, "I'm going to go consider this and I'll have a decision for you today," I thought, well, he's going to get the second. He's going to get another year, but also I thought that was pretty quick turnaround for a hearing. And I was under the wrong impression. I thought we were there because they had to show that the NCAA acted in bad faith. But actually, they were making the actual argument that they would have made to the NCAA had they had a full hearing instead of just like submitting documents and getting rejected.
Yeah.
I mean, they called witnesses. We had Joe Judge up there. Trinidad's mom, Cheryl, took the stand. Trinidad took the stand.
How about the cross-examination of Trinidad's mom?
Well, I mean, I don't.
There was none.
Right.
They just congratulated her on raising such a fine son.
Yeah, I don't think attacking
Yeah.
Trinidad Chambliss's mom would have won any hearts and minds for the NCAA.
Well, you got to admit, Tyler, as far as, we both cover sports, and as far as that might have been the most unneutral field ever.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The NCAA, and we'll get to when we really knew it was the most unneutral field ever.
Well, let's do that. I mean, because that was my favorite part of the day. We get there, and everybody, they got the media all seated in the jury box, and they open up the floor for a pre-hearing prayer.
Yes.
I'll let you take it from there.
Well, the pastor at nearby Calhoun's First Baptist Church of Calhoun City gave the, I guess you'd call it the pre-trial
invocation.
Yeah, and in it, he said that first he praised Trinidad and Trinidad's family for always praying before the games. And after the games, and then he prayed to the good Lord above for an extension
for Trinidad.
He said,
"He got me, man."
He said, "You granted
King Hezekiah
a 15-year extension of his life, so we know you are an expert on extensions, and all we're asking
Lord, we're
is
just asking for
one more year." So on the first break, I went and talked to the lawyers from both sides. The people from the NCAA said, "I don't know, man. If God's on their side, I don't think we got much of a shot."
Right.
And then the lawyer for Trinidad said, "I didn't know if it was a prayer or a closing argument."
Oh, it was good stuff. I mean, I guess ultimately they successfully argued that it would cause Trinidad hardship to go to the NFL. Irreparable
legal term is irreparable
to go
harm.
to the NFL.
Yeah, that's what they basically ruled.
Yeah.
And people, I'm sure you get asked too. Well, what do you think? What do you think? And in today's NCAA landscape, and all the people that are playing 6, 7, the same day, somebody got granted a 9th year of eligibility. Given that, Trinidad certainly had a good case. Yeah. I mean, he's only played 3 college football seasons. So,
Yeah, well, he redshirted 1 year.
He redshirted as a freshman, then thought he was getting a medical red shirt as a sophomore.
Right. When he was practicing and competing and just didn't play.
Yeah.
And thought he was getting a medical red shirt.
Then he played 4 games in what was his junior year class-wise. He played 4 games. And then in what would have been his 4th year at Ferris State, he won the national championship.
And was the player of the year.
Yeah.
And then went to Ole Miss and played, by my count, his 4th season of college football. Because he didn't play in a game, but he's already redshirted. So unless they, and I know the rules are different in Division II, so they should have filed some paperwork that they didn't.
Yeah.
At Ferris State, but I mean they didn't. And I granted, I'm glad Trinidad Chambliss is coming back to Ole Miss next year. It's going to make our football season, infinitely more entertaining to watch.
Well, there have been very few college football players that I've covered over the years that are more exciting to watch.
No, I'm here for it. I want to watch Ole Miss run it back with Trinidad Chambliss. But I think by the letter of the law, his eligibility was used up. I mean, there's a reason we were in that courtroom.
By the letter of the law that is hardly ever enforced anymore.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
and I guess that's what they were arguing. They had a chance to enforce it, and they tried to enforce it, but they didn't. So there's that. My big takeaway, Dad, was that, the lawyers left, right? The NCAA lawyers left from the time they closed the hearing to the time that Judge Whitwell came back with his ruling. The NCAA lawyers left town. They were headed to Knoxville for a case with the Aguilar kid from up there. I saw one post, a hilarious comment, said they couldn't wait to lose their next case. They had to get to the next spot. But, I mean, you get to the point where it's like, I know you got to go through the motions if you're an attorney representing a body, but, I mean, it just seems like the losses just keep piling up for the NCAA. And at what point are we going to get to one day where they say, well, we know his eligibility is used up. We're going to play him anyway. And strip us of our wins if you can. You know what I mean? Like at some point, and we'll just take it to court in Pittsboro, Mississippi, and see if you can, get it over the line.
Yeah, it's crazy. I had a good friend who's a former professional athlete tell me between last week and today that we're about. We may get it this year when a player signs to play in the NFL and then gets cut in training camp and comes back and says, I've got a year of eligibility left.
Well, using the same argument we just used for Trinidad Chambliss in 2022, 2022, well, if he didn't play in the NFL, should it count?
Yeah, well.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's what we're getting at. If we just, we're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants here.
Well, let's also just admit that college football players at Division I level, especially in the Power 4 conferences, by definition, they are professionals.
Right.
They get paid.
No.
Get paid lots of money to play football.
Those aren't salaries. Those aren't contracts. Those are rev share agreements. Got to get your terminology down.
Okay, well, so if they're not salaries, how come they have to pay taxes on them?
This is a rev share agreements. It's a contract. It's not, it's not technically it's not a professional contract.
Well,
you're so behind the times.
It's a mockery.
It is. I agree. Let's talk about something that's not a mockery. Moving on, that is our big idea today, and that's the college baseball opening weekend that we just had. Dad, Ole Miss and Mississippi State both swept. Mississippi State, of course, playing Hofstra, and Ole Miss playing Nevada. Not two teams that you expect to see at the end of the year in a tournament, but I think anytime you start the season 3-0, you can't complain, especially in the SEC where a team like Mississippi State, if you're doing the math on their schedule, they can afford about 3 non-conference losses. 3. And then to be in that final 8 at the end of the year with the SEC schedule they have, and you want those to be against, your Southern Misses or your Troys or whoever. You don't want those to come against Hofstra so they took care of business. State won 6-5 on Friday, 6-1 on Saturday, and 7-5 in the second game Saturday. They played a doubleheader. Great crowds, by the way. I don't know if you saw that.
All three places.
But State was over 12,000 people for all 3 games. I think they had more on Saturday than they did on Friday night. But considering it's baseball and it's this time of year, those are pretty impressive crowds for opening weekend.
Absolutely. The weather wasn't great either.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't what you call prime baseball weather. Yeah.
They played pretty well. The hitting was hit and miss, but they, like I said, they scored 6, 6, and 7, so can't complain in the overall product. They were trailed on the second game Saturday, I believe, after Hofstra hit like a 3-run homer early. but never got down, and really impressed with the way the bullpen guys came in and closed. You know, they managed the game well, and you know, it felt like in a game, you know, they might have dropped one of those in the past couple of years. They got hit with some adversity, but they never lost their cool. Big week this week, of course, Troy and Alcorn in the midweek. Troy is a strong program. You just don't want to lose to them, but they're a strong program that won at Sarkville last year.
Yeah, it surprised me. They lost 2 or 3 at home. They're supposed to be a top 25 team, but they lost.
Yep. And they got Delaware this weekend. Mississippi State does. So it's going to be a minute before they get, you know, a really strong weekend 3-game series opponent. But, you know, another week where it would be really nice for them to go 5-0 if they can.
Well, here's the deal with Ole Miss and Mississippi State. They can afford to open against Nevada and Hofstra and teams like that because their RPI is going to, whether they win or lose, it's going to go up in the SEC season.
Right.
Because, you know, the RPI, the mean in the SEC is way up there.
Yeah, I think it all depends on what your goals are. I mean, you can afford to start the season like that, but you can't afford to lose. If you're State and you want one of those final 8, you know, the top 8 seeds at the end of the thing, you know, it behooves you not to lose to Hofstra. Or
well, you shouldn't lose to Hofstra if you're Mississippi State.
It's baseball.
I know.
Baseball.
I know that, and I know that even teams like Hofstra, a lot of them have an ace.
Yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to the one Southern Miss faced on Friday night against UC Santa Barbara in a minute. Ole Miss started 3-0 though. They swept Nevada, as I said, 11-3, 5-1, and 13-2. We talked about in this space last week that Ole Miss was going to rely. It looked like they were going to be relying on the long ball.
And pitching.
They hit a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And then, yes, they did get the good pitching. They got the strong start from Hunter Elliott on Friday night, and it carried over to the rest of the weekend. They only allowed, I think it was, 6 runs in 3 games. And, you know, an opening weekend, that's not bad.
Well, as I said last week, I think they are of our schools vastly underrated. I think they should be a top 25 team. I know they're in one poll, but they ought to be. I mean, they're going to be good.
Yeah.
Ole Miss is going to be good.
Well, I know they are. They got players everywhere, and they're huge. I mean, just they look good getting off the bus. A couple of midweek games this week, Arkansas State and Jackson State in Oxford, and then they host Missouri State for a 3-game series this weekend. Missouri State should be no stranger to Mississippi baseball fans. It seems like they are always in a regional near you.
I think I believe they're the team that took 2 or 3 at Troy last weekend, which is that's an achievement.
There you go. If in fact it was them.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure it was.
Down in Hattiesburg, Dad, I know you got to see you wanted to see the guy on Friday night, and you'll have to remind me his name.
Jackson Flora. How can you forget?
Because I didn't see him pitch on Friday night, but apparently you say we're going to see him in a major league uniform near you.
We will be watching him pitch for a few years.
What made him so good?
Well, you start with a fastball that the highest I saw it on the scoreboard was 101, which is pretty fast.
Yeah.
But what makes it seem all that much faster is he has like an 88-mile-an-hour slider, and then he's got like an 80-mile-an-hour breaking pitch. So if you're all primed for that 101, boy, that 89 is hard to, because it comes out of his hand. It's looking like a fastball.
Right.
I mean, I
just have to hit on 89. I couldn't ever hit a 103-mile-an-hour pitch.
And the thing is, he commands every one of those pitches. Yeah, right. Right. Well, you were a fastball hitter.
But not that fast.
No, not that fast.
No.
And Lord be if it was a curveball.
Yeah, I'm going to swing out my shoes. It is what it is. Southern Miss's gauntlet kind of continues. I mean, people will look at this and say, what's the difference in UC Santa Barbara and, say, Nevada or Hofstra? But UC Santa Barbara is a pretty good program. They're going to win a ton of games that guy starts.
Well, they're going to win. They've got good pitching throughout. I mean, they threw 5 or 6 arms out there that look, like SEC arms.
Yeah. Well, they've got Southeastern Louisiana midweek this week, and then this weekend looks pretty brutal. They got Purdue, Oregon State, and Baylor, who I just heard before we came on the air here that they have the Baylor Bears have a player that hit 3 grand slams in one game.
The season opener. Yeah. How would you like to go into your second game with
it's all downhill
12 RBIs?
All downhill from there.
Yeah.
12
RBIs in your first game of the season.
There's a little stat padding going on there in game 1.
Well, let's do the math. He's on a over 600 RBI season pace.
I wonder what that would do for his NIL. How much you make per ribby?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. Dad, that's about all the baseball talk we got. Before we move on to our blitz today, I want to talk a little bit about this Winter Olympics that's been going on. I have been watching. I caught a good bit between parades over the weekend in New Orleans. I don't know how much have you. I've got to start with how much.
Not a lot. Every chance I get, when there's curling on in honor of your Uncle Bobby, I watch. I love curling.
Well, what do you think he would think about the controversy over the weekend? I don't know if you caught this. The Swedes were playing the Canadians, and the Swedish guy named Oscar Eriksson, with more K's than you would think, said he accused Mark Kennedy, with more C's than you would think, from Canada, of touching the stone as it crossed, and I can't make this up, the hog line, that you're not supposed to touch the thing past. You throw it by the handle. So he was nudging it over, and then at the last second, just kind of reaching out and just kind of touching it. Yeah. Which, and I was reading about it, and apparently you can gain an advantage that way if you know what you're doing. And I assume that these guys do, since they're the best in the world at this. But so he, instead of going to the judge, the Swedish guy says something to this Mark Kennedy, and there was some colorful language out of that Canadian, which I was kind of surprised to see. You don't really hear that. But he basically told him where he could shove it, and then they got into a back and forth. Apparently, they have video evidence of him doing this, but they say they're not going to penalize him based on video evidence. It'd have to say something in the moment. The judge would have to see it. So now they've got a new judge that's on the line, going to be watching them going forward, which is important because Canada's going for gold in curling coming up here soon. I love any kind of drama, especially in what is essentially a bar game. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You start watching, you think, where's my beer?
Right.
This goes with beer.
Why aren't they drinking is the real question. I don't understand it at all. I mean, I know the guys with the brooms need 2 hands, but I mean, the guy, after he lets it go, all he's doing is yelling. Yeah. Seems like a perfect time to be.
Well, apparently that's a big part of the sport on the club level.
Well, it's
like slow pitch softball.
I feel like maybe, because when they're doing the long jump, they get points for the wind, the wind resistance and all that. I feel like curling could be the same way. You could get you how about a quarter of a point for every beer you've drank? I'm just saying we could make it. It's interesting as it is. We could make it more interesting if we needed to. One thing I will implore you to watch is on Thursday, our women's ice hockey team is skating for the gold against Canada, the reigning world champs, the Canadians. We already beat them 5-0 in the group stage, but the women's hockey team has now outscored all of its opponents at the Olympics 31-1.
How did we get so good in women's ice hockey?
I don't know. I mean, Title IX, but I don't know past that. All I know is we're suddenly awesome. We have not allowed a goal in 16 periods of play, which is, I'm told, an amount of time in a hockey game. And, like I said, we're skating for the gold against Canada. We got into a fight in our game over the weekend. We were beating Italy 6-0, and we got in a fight with them, and we won that too. So it's getting –
Well, the event I'm looking forward to is when Canada and U.S. play in men's hockey.
Yeah.
Because they'll fight. I mean,
You think so?
they would fight if it was a normal game, but with all that's going on in the world right now, tariffs and whatnot, there's going to be some bad blood there.
Whatnot doing a lot of heavy lifting there. Dad, as of Tuesday morning, we're recording this, like I said, on Fat Tuesday, Norway is in the lead with 30 gold medals. Italy is in second. The host country always does well with these things, one way or the other.
Home mountain advantage.
Yeah, right. But they're in second with 24 total medals, and the USA is in third with 20, also tied for third in gold medals. I know that the U.S. hasn't always been dominant in the Winter Olympics. I know they have been. In my lifetime, I think we've won more golds than anybody else. Why is it that you think that we don't do as well in this as we – I mean, because the summer games, it's usually not that close.
Well, I just think probably it's because that snow and ice sports aren't as much a part of our culture as it is in some of these other countries, including Norway.
Yeah. Well, especially in Norway. I also
Yeah.
feel like it's a barrier to entry type thing. I feel like the winter game, it doesn't cost much to run track. You know what I mean? It costs a whole lot to be good at ice skating. Like your parents quitting their jobs and committing their entire lives to making you good at it.
And snow skiing.
Same snow skiing,
Yeah.
ice, anything with an ice rink. If you forget about curling, I mean, talk about a privileged sport. I don't know too many curling rinks around here.
Back, it seems like it was around the turn of the century when that was back when Bobby, your uncle, my brother, got real interested in curling. They actually started a curling league out at the ice park on Lakeland Avenue.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember the ice park. I don't remember the curling.
Yeah. Well, they had a little recreational curling league, but they wouldn't let them have a beer.
Yeah, because it's on Flowwood.
It's kind of like ice hockey at the Coliseum I'll never forget when they started the first ice hockey team, the Jackson Bandits.
Bandits,
I would go to the opening press conference, and comes time for Q&A. I raised my hand.
How much your beer is going to be?
No, I just said, "Are you going to bet?" There was a rule against any alcohol in the Coliseum, and I said, "Are you going to be able to have beer?" And he said, "No," and I said, "Ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work."
I still got my Brumby jersey somewhere.
Yeah.
They had an awesome goalie. Dad, that about does it for us. We need to head to the Blitz. We've got an exciting rundown for everybody today. We're going to start at the top. Dad, now that Trinidad Chambliss is eligible, is he your front runner for the Heisman, or is it still Arch Manning?
Well, I think there are three front runners, all quarterbacks. No big surprise there, but Arch Manning is certainly one of them. Trinidad is certainly one of them. And then the Ohio State quarterback, Justin Sayan, who just, is coming back.
Yeah. Well, what a
without
season.
Controversy.
Yeah, what a season he had.
Huh?
What a season he had last year.
Oh, he had a great season, but I think those are your three front runners.
I think so too. Do you give Chambliss I give him a shot to get to New York. I mean, a lot depends on how they do, I suppose.
Yeah, it all depends on whether, if he stays healthy and if they have a good season. I mean, a lot of times I think the best player in the country doesn't win the Heisman because his team doesn't win enough.
Yeah, we know that's true.
Yeah.
Dad, it looks like the MLB MLB is headed for something. I don't know what it's going to be. We're less than a year out now. Negotiations had not gone well, and now this morning news that the MLBPA executive director Tony Clark has just quit, walked off the job. This can't bode well for Major League Baseball, right?
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, I don't know how he factors in if there's a better chance at negotiations without him or with him. I just don't know. I do think there's just so much money on the line for both sides that they're going to reach some kind of compromise.
Could I carbon print your answer from the last strike? Did you also say that then?
I don't remember.
It wasn't that long ago. It was the 90s.
Well, I just think they're going to come to some kind of agreement because both sides have so much to lose if they don't.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dad, legendary MRA basketball coach Richard DeWeese is going for just one more overall title this weekend in the MAIS overall basketball tournament.
He's only won 41, not overalls, but 41 state championships.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, I can't. There's no point in comparing them to anybody else because ain't nobody else close. But what a career it's been.
Yeah, and there are naysayers out there who will tell you, well, he's also the best high school basketball recruiter that's ever been. But if you watch his teams play, I mean, they know how to play.
They do,
and they're disciplined, and they play. Two big things: they're so disciplined, and they play so hard.
No, play defense,
and they're good.
Absolutely, Dad. UConn and USM have signed a home and home.
Yeah.
To play football. Do you like this kind of matchup, and do you think it'll help Southern Miss?
Well, Southern kind of got caught in a bind. They already had their 4 non-conference games, and Louisiana Tech was one of them, and now they're in the conference.
Right.
So they had to find another game on short notice. Yeah, it'll be fine. They play in Hattiesburg this year, and then I think they have to go to Storrs, Connecticut, in seems like it's 2029, which is hard to fathom right now.
It is.
But an early season non-conference game in Connecticut.
Yeah.
It might be a nice break in the weather.
It might be.
Yeah.
It might be. Also might be cold.
Yeah.
Terrible program, that UConn football.
Been better the last few years than they were. I mean, they're a basketball school. There's no question about it. But
I like them scheduling a team from a bigger conference that they, I mean, I think they probably going to match up very well in that game.
Who knows? I mean, I don't know how UConn
turnover
is, but there's so much turnover at Southern Miss.
Well, if it's like if UConn's like any other school in their position, they've lost 40 players and added 40 players. I mean, you just won't know.
Southern has one starter
returning,
coming back. One.
Well, we'll see how that goes. And Dad, finally, a sad note. Your favorite actor has up and left us. Robert Duvall died after just an incredible career in life. I know this one hit you particularly hard, considering I've never known you to change the channel off a movie with Robert Duvall in it.
No, he's, to me, I mean, there's nobody better at his craft than Duvall was. And, my favorite role, I mean, people talk about Apocalypse Now, talk about The Godfather, talk about Lonesome Dove. My favorite role of his was Tender Mercies.
Well, he won the Academy Award for it.
Well, it should have. It was terrific.
Yeah, well.
He even sings in it.
Really?
Yeah, he's a country singer.
I'll have to check that. Is it basically because he was in the?
If you have not seen this movie,
I want to say he was in the Crazy Heart movie with Jeff Bridges too, but I don't think he sung in that one.
No. Yeah, you're right.
Okay,
but Tender Mercies, you got to watch it. If you
Okay.
haven't seen it, you got to watch it.
Okay.
Everybody out there, if you haven't seen Tender Mercies, you need to watch
Well,
it.
you don't leave our podcast very often with homework, but you've got it this week, Rick. Rick says you got to go watch Tender Mercies.
That's right.
Really appreciate everybody listening in this week or watching. Remember to, like and subscribe on YouTube. You can share it wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to keep up with all of Rick's latest writings at MississippiToday.org, along with some of the best news and commentary that you'll find anywhere in the state. Everybody have a good one out there, and we'll see you next week. If you enjoyed today's episode, you can watch more of the Crooked Letter Sports podcast on our YouTube channel. Be sure to like and subscribe, and you can read all the latest in Mississippi sports coverage at MississippiToday.org.